Okay, so now we've gone to the stage of adding a working user authentication system. Now we need to associate the user with, for example, the papers they upload, and we also need to see which user uploaded which papers when we're going into the site as a kind of customer. So what we need to do is associate users with the papers that are in the database. And the first thing we can do is we'll have to change the papers table to accommodate that, to allow us to put user information. Now if I right click and choose design view on papers, again, this is what we've currently got in our papers table: author, title, the week it takes place in, abstract, intro and hyperlink. However, we need a user, and so what we can do is put in a user field, and we can make that a text field, which is just going to have the username in it. Now, you could object that's not a very good way of doing it, it's not very pure, because we could, in any case, make a link, as a foreign key link, to the users table, which is here, which is what we did when we associated with weeks. That is a valid point to make, but A, this will be quicker, and B, because user itself, the username is by definition unique, it's not so much of a problem if we put as full text in here, because it's never going to change that username, and so it's kind of less problematic maybe than other forms of duplication of data. So I think just for the simplicity and for speed, we'll make it just a text field called user, into which we will put the username for every paper that gets uploaded. Okay, so let's kind of close that down, and then we've saved the table with the new field in it. Okay, so papers table now will have at the end of it a field called user. Okay, now user can be a quite problematic word to use in SQL, because it is also a reserved word of the system, but I can show you how you can get around that. But let's go first of all now to the new article.aspx, which is the page you use for uploading new papers. That's what it looks like, if we remember. You type in your author, your title, your URL, you say which week it's going to take place in, and we give some comments about it. Now then, this time we also need to add the user's name. Now there's no need to create another field where the user puts in their name, because the system already knows their name. We can always get to it from the field user.identity.name. So we can always get to it, and so all we've got to do now is associate that with the paper that gets uploaded. So let's go into new article aspx.vb. What essentially we're going to have to do is change this SQL string. Now at the moment we've been using the rather primitive way of doing it, which is just a sequence of question marks. I think what we should do is now, for a start with, let's just tidy this up and put in proper kind of at aliases for the fields, like we've done in other pages. So we're going to put in at symbols before the names of these fields, and then we're going to copy these things into the existing question marks we've got at the moment. This will just make our code a lot more readable. We did this as an easy thing to do at the beginning, but now as our site becomes more complex, it's better if we do it in a more responsible fashion, and in a way that makes it easier for us to read our code and to diagnose any faults that are revealed in it. So as we do, we're just going to copy all of these elements into our SQL string. Okay, and once we've done that, what we're going to do is add the final user information. Okay, so that's what we've currently got. We've got our SQL string there, inserted into papers, author, title, week, foreign key ID, abstract, intro, hyperlink. With those values get you put in through the add with value call in CMD parameters. So we've done all that. Now we've got to put in a user. So let's put in comma user, and values we'll put at user. Okay, comma at user. However, this is a problem because user is a sort of reserved word in Access or in the database system we're actually using here. So if that is the case, what you have to do is you have to put square brackets around it, and then it'll still work. I could actually go through this and show you it not working, but it'll just take more time. So just occasionally, if you do kind of like produce a line of SQL and you run it and for no reason, you can't see any reason why it should fail, then the most likely reason is that one of the words you use for your column titles in the database is actually a reserved word of the system. And you don't get very clear error messages to indicate that should be so, but that usually is the reason. So I've just put those square brackets around user in order that no problem is caused later on. So now, in this CMD parameters thing here, what we're going to do now is add at user into our SQL string, and then we're going to the value we're going to pass in there is the old user.identity.name. Okay, so that will go in there, and that then will populate the database with this user value. Okay, so let's just see if it does indeed work. So let's kind of like go in again. So I'm going to run the browser here. As per usual, it's a little bit slow, but hopefully it'll show up soon enough. So here it comes. It should kind of probably take us back to the login screen, because it's a while since I've actually gone in there. There's another name I've created called Johnny, and so let's log in as him. Okay, and hopefully it will allow us to do so. Again, it's my system with the video running at the same time. It has. So let's kind of like let's type in author as kind of let's see the letter I have in user file. It's RRR. Okay, so RRR title URL week 3 comments, and I'm going to add the article entry to the database. Clicking on the button. Okay, so it seems to have done it. Let's see if in the latest paper there is some user information. There's RRR. That's what we've got there, and user is definitely Johnny. So it's a kind of the glass is half full at the moment. We've definitely been able to update the user information with the paper we've just added, but a little weakness has appeared in our code, which I will attempt to solve.